What's up, tubes? I made two videos previously of this machine. This is the 1971 Ariens Sno-Thro with the 32 wide bucket. I made the original video with the original 1971 Tecumseh 7 horsepower H70 engine. And then I made another video of this machine when I upgraded the machine to this Predator 212 engine. Since then I've made some more upgrades. One of the most important upgrades was the taller chute. It makes a huge difference. The original chute is only 11 inches tall, not including the deflector. This chute is 15.5 inches tall, not including the deflector. It makes a huge difference. The snow is thrown or is shot approximately 30 feet into the sky and lands a good 40 feet away from the machine now with that chute. If you lower the chute down like this, it literally shoots it 30 feet out that direction at a 90-degree angle. Okay, so Ariens made these taller chutes on their mid to late 80s, early 90s machines with the ring gear. They fit on to the 70s machines perfectly. Another thing I did was, instead of having the chute crank come straight down here where I had to continue to bend, I was able to get in touch with a guy on Snowblower forum who has parts for these machines, and he was able to sell me 2 universal joints, okay, and an extra piece of rod along with this plate right here. Now, on the 80s machines, they still use these same handlebars, but they started using this plate so that they could bring the chute rod up to the user. So there's no more bending. It's right here. So that's how you do that. It's very simple. Okay, you take, the original rod goes to your worm gear. You cut it about a ½ inch, drill a hole through. You got to make sure you got to have good drill bits to get through that metal, because I used about 4 drill bits I went through to get through that metal. Then you use your cotter pins and you pop these in place, okay, and you divert it up and no more bending. Okay, even stock, when the chute was originally up here, you still had to bend a little bit, which was a pain. So no more bending. That's how you do it. Like I said, they sell these they had these plates on the 80s machines when they still use this handlebar design, so it bolts right on. The chute crank rod goes right through it, meets this worm gear and goes straight up. Big difference. Another thing I did was, on these machines, okay, if you don't have chains, these machines are worthless. But with chains, these are some of the best snowblowers ever built. So I use this machine commercially every winter. Okay, this winter it was used 3 snowstorms, approximately, I would say 90 hours of use. I go through a set of chains at least once a winter, sometimes even quicker. So I bought super heavy duty chains with V-bars. Okay, these should give me a lot more time out of them, and they're gonna grip even harder. Now, they say they leave a little bit of mark on the pavement. It's not serious. A snowplow would leave a mark. The skid shoes leave marks anyway, so it really doesn't make a difference. I mean, the only other way to do it would be to put the better tires, like X-Tracs or Snow Hog tires on the machine. But like I said, these are old school machines, okay? They used chains back then for a reason. So if you use these machines with these tires, as long as you have chains, you're set. You're good to go. All right? Another thing I probably didn't mention, I'm not going to run this engine today. This is the non-Hemi Predator 212cc, which is about a 7 horsepower engine. Okay, this engine runs at 4,500 RPM, revolutions per minute. Okay, so compared to the old Tecumseh 7 horsepower, which runs at a maximum of 3,600 RPM, this engine runs at 4,500 RPM. So this engine runs, okay, like this is a 10 horsepower, okay? The auger turns twice as fast and the impeller turns twice as fast. I accidentally ran over a newspaper this winter, a thick frozen newspaper, and it didn't clog. It literally cut the newspaper right in half and threw it 20 feet, okay? Now, they sell a Hemi version of this engine, and I don't recommend it. And the reason why is the Hemi version is only rated at 3,600 RPM. The non-Hemi is rated at 3,800 RPM. So the non-Hemi is actually more powerful off the bat. But you can set this, okay, under here there's a set screw. Somewhere right under here, I forget exactly where it is, there's a set screw to set the idle. And you can run this at a max 4,500 RPM. I've already been doing it 3 years, commercially, no issues at all. I've had 0 issues with this engine. Now you can hook the throttle cable up to this machine, which I did have it hooked up. But the one thing was the throttle cable was freezing in the winter. So I ended up taking the throttle cable off because you really don't need it because you have the throttle control right here anyway. What does occasionally happen is you'll get snow or ice down in here, it'll build up and it'll jam this. But this is strong, so this will break through the ice and snow. The throttle cable will get broken. But really it's not an issue. I've seen people make custom heater cover boxes to cover it. Like I said, it's only an issue if you're out there throwing snow while it's still snowing, or if the snow is blowing back and it's leaving the snow in here and it's icing up, it'll freeze this at night. Not badly. With this you can get it to move. But if you have the throttle cable on, it occasionally freezes. So I just took it off. It's not necessary. You've got it right here. So, okay. Other things to mention. These skid shoes, they're two-sided. They are great. Okay, they're okay. But they make commercial skid shoes that have 3 to 4 times the thickness of material. I'm gonna buy a pair of those because this machine is used commercially, and as you can see, I'm almost down to the end on this side already in 1 winter, which means 2 winters and these skid shoes are gone. And this wasn't a really heavy winter. So also I used these springs they come with to tighten the chains up even more. Okay, with the chains on, you put it at 12 psi. Without chains, 10 psi they call for. They work great. All right. You know, otherwise, like I said, this is a 1971 Ariens Sno-Thro in excellent condition. Okay. I bought it originally for $195. I sold the original engine for $250, and then the electric starter that was on it for another $50, so I got $300 from the engine. So after buying the new engine and the chute, I basically broke even on this machine. Now I've seen a machine in this condition with its original engine sell on eBay for $1,000. Why? It's the 32 wide. They're harder to come by, and that's what it is. But another thing is these machines have 3 to 4 times the amount of steel that they use on machines now. Okay, when I hit this, you can see, I mean, you know, metal they use now is flimsy. Plus these augers are like 12 inches tall. The impeller is 11 or 12 inches wide. Okay, they don't make them like this anymore. You know what I mean? And plus, another great thing is when you put this in gear like this, you have to pull this up to stop the machine. So as long as that's down, it's moving. So you can rotate your chute while it's moving. you don't have to worry about having your both hands in use. You know, you've got your simple gear selector here, 1 reverse, 4 forward speeds. Typically the machine gets used in 1st or 2nd. It really doesn't get used in 3rd or 4th unless you're doing a quick sweep. 4th is really just to move the machine. Okay, I am going to buy the metal belt cover that they used from 1968 and before. This is the plastic one that they used from 1969 on. I already put it on my 24 wide machine. I am going to get the metal belt cover. I don't like this plastic. It does start to crack. Metal doesn't crack. Okay. What else? The other thing, the urban legend to this differential. Okay. This differential, right now I have it in the out mode because it's not being used and it's just easier to transport with it unlocked. When you're using this machine as a snowblower, this is supposed to be in the locked mode. You're supposed to have 2 wheels moving at all times. Okay? The reason they put those on these machines was for the Trac-Team line. Okay? So that you could put attachments on this tractor, such as a lawnmower. Okay? Because if you use this as a lawnmower, you have to unlock this so that you don't tear up the grass. But when you use this as a snowblower, you're supposed to have that locked. You're supposed to be in 2-wheel drive at all times. Alright, I tried it in 1-wheel drive once. It sucks when it's only using 1 wheel. It's not intended for it. It even says in the manual, specifically, you use the differential unlocked with attachments only. When it's in Sno-Thro mode, that is supposed to be locked. The only times as a Sno-Thro that you would want that unlocked is transporting it, or if you're in a tight corner and you have to quickly make a turn. Okay, that's the one advantage to having it. Okay, the one disadvantage to having it on there, it's a 2-piece axle and a roll pin holds this hub in place. And this engine is so powerful, it snaps the roll pins. So I tried something else this time. I tried a clip instead that locks it in place. Hopefully that won't break as quickly as the roll pins, because I snap roll pins because of how powerful this engine is, and with the chains going on bang 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 bang, the roll pins snap. Alright, so you're actually, if you have the base model Sno-Thro that they made in the 70s that wasn't for the Trac-Team, and you have the straight axle where there's just 2 caps on each side, you're actually in better shape, especially if you put a more powerful engine on the machine, because you won't be snapping roll pins. Okay, but otherwise this is an excellent machine, probably the best snowblower they ever made, other than the 924,000 series that they made from like 75 to 79 specifically, when they were still orange and white. Okay, they had an 8 horsepower they used and a 10 horsepower. Okay, in 1971, 1972, they were still only using a 7 horsepower tops. The HM80 didn't come out until 1973, and it was only used the last 2 years of production on the 10,000 series. So the 8 horsepower models have the other safety features. Okay, you have to hold this, it's opposite. You have to hold it down to move the machine. They got rid of the lever down here. They used a different kind of lever, and it came up here. It was a handle lever. So actually, I prefer this. Some people say it's not OSHA standard. First of all, these aren't workplace. This is residential, so it's not OSHA. It was I forget what ANSI is actually ANSI standard, which they didn't really start using until 1973, and it was still basic until 75, 76. They got, you know, more strict on the safety features. Yes, if you slip and fall and you let go of this, the machine will continue to go on its own. But with common sense, you get away from the machine, you're okay. And like I said, it's better to have it like this, because then one hand's free to move your chute. Now, I'm not going to run it. I already did that in the previous video. I just wanted to show the upgrades. Like I said, having chains on this machine is a must if you're going to be using the stock tires. And putting the taller chute on, I highly recommend it. The 11-inch stub chutes that they used back then, I don't know why they were that short, but they just don't throw that great. Okay, you put one of these on, like I said, it throws it 30 feet high into the sky, 40 plus feet away from the machine. Even I put one of these on my stock 24 wide machine that still has the old Tecumseh 7 horsepower, and it throws 30 feet high in the sky and 40 feet away from the machine with that engine. Okay, with this machine being a 32 wide at about, let's just say 10 horsepower at 4,500 RPM, it's about the same because you've got a larger bucket. So if you have one of these older machines, I highly recommend getting the taller chute. Okay, and if you do an upgrade in power, this is how you go about diverting the chute rod up, so you don't have to bend down. Otherwise, because like I said, otherwise you have to set it down here to keep it out of the way of the overhead valve cover, because these used to have L-head, flathead engines. Alright, so that's why I just want to make this video to show the upgrades. Like I said, eventually I'm going to put the commercial really thick skid shoes on, and there's not much else that needs to be done to it. Just maintenance, and these machines are great. Yeah, I'm probably eventually also going to put the Impeller Mod on. I still haven't done that yet, mainly because it closes the gap in there, and it'll throw all snow, all kinds of snow, wet slush. It won't clog it ever at all, and it throws it a little further. I still haven't gotten around to doing that. I am going to do that. But otherwise, other than the engine and the chute, this is still an all-original 45-year-old Ariens Sno-Thro. And this is when they built them the best. Alright? So I just wanted to share that. You can see my previous video to see how this sucker runs and how powerful everything turns and moves. I'm not going to start it today. There's no reason to do that. I just wanted to show with the upgrades, alright, how much better these machines are. With the taller chute and the chains, this machine will outperform just about any machine, including the commercial Sno-Thros Ariens builds today. They're just not as built as well as they were back then. The only advantage to the newer ones is they have slightly taller buckets. That's it. And you know, that was the one thing. You know, they started to make them a little bit taller, maybe not even taller, but just further out so the snow didn't come over the top. You got to be in real heavy snow to do that. Also, I do have a pair of drift cutters for this snowblower. They're not the original ones that they offered in 1971, but they were for the 75 through 79 924,000 series. They're like a half-inch thick, 22 inches long, and they're like 3 pounds a piece, so they're beasts. But I barely ever have to use the drift cutters. We rarely get snow that's over 12 inches high, very rarely.